Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for logging on and joining me today for a very exciting video, because today we're going to be chatting about 10 tips that I have personally to help you guys have a healthy, sustainable and safe, most importantly, weight loss. So I get asked a lot of questions about how I went about my weight loss, how much weight I've lost altogether, and how I've managed to do it in a very sustainable way. Because for those of you that are new, I've actually managed to maintain my weight for, I would say, 8 months now, which is incredible. I'm feeling so much happier and healthier than ever before. So I definitely do have some tips and tricks to share when it comes to both losing the weight and maintaining your weight when you get to goal as well. So the first one, if I'm looking down by the way, it's because I've made notes, because I like to remain as concise as possible. So the first one is very important, not one that you should focus on too much and get obsessed with, but it's very important in regards to monitoring your progress, and that is regular weigh-ins. So obviously it's important for you guys to weigh yourself initially, because then you know where you're starting from. So it's very important to have your start weight, and then you can check each week if whatever plan you're doing is working, if whatever routine you're having is working. Because if you're not tracking and recording and monitoring your weight, you're not going to know if you've lost any, gained any. So I would say, the very least, weigh yourself once a week so you can check and monitor progress. That actually pushes me very neatly onto my next point, which is be mindful about your food choices and also keep food interesting. How many times have regular viewers heard me say the key to any successful weight loss is to keep food interesting, keep it as lively, as energetic as you can. So what I mean by that is, don't eat boring food. If you're looking for inspo, I have a full catalogue of what I eat in a day videos, an absolute treasure trove of home cooked recipes, but you'll also find takeaways and treats in there as well. Again, I'm all about being real, but it's worth just having a sit down and think about your food choices. Think about your snacking habits, think about the things that you're eating, and just become that much more educated when it comes to your choices. My massive thing with me, the whole reason I gained weight, was portion control, and it is as simple as that. My portions were way out of whack, they were not healthy, and ultimately they made me gain a lot of weight. And to be honest with you, I don't think I would have lost as much as I have if I hadn't managed to get a handle on portion control and just approach it in a much healthier way. So that's definitely number 2. Again, keeping food interesting, keeping that spark alive when it comes to food. I'm not just talking about cooking in the kitchen. You don't have to be the most amazing cook, but just keep lovely food in that you like to snack on, that you know is a bit better for you. That's not going to mean that you're coming in after a hard day's work and you're having to opt for that takeaway because there's nothing else in. So just having a bit of a think and a bit of a prepping when it comes to your food choices. The next one is about food choices. So again, that leads me on very nicely to point number 3, and that is about meal planning and your food choices. So we all need to have a bit of a think about what foods we eat. We all need to become that much more savvy when it comes to the choices that we make, because I've done a full video on fake food. I'll link it in the description above. But there are a lot of things out there that are marketed to us as healthy, and they're actually far from it. You'd be better having a bag of Maltesers than half of these health food treats and snacks and balls and all of these things that are marketed to us as healthy. You may as well have had a Snickers. So it's always worth checking nutritional values. It's always worth checking your app if you have the WW app. These tips, by the way, are not WW specific. You don't have to be on WW to get on board with these. These are very generic weight loss tips, the ones that I use now, even though I'm not really tracking. And if I am, I'm tracking very loosely, as you've seen. So definitely become more educated about food, be more educated about your choices, check nutritional values, and just have a think about it. Again, just become food savvy, I suppose. The next one is to try your best to avoid trigger foods and avoid trigger food situations. So what I mean by this is, we all have trigger foods, and what I mean by a trigger food is something that sets in motion a chain of overeating. I've done a full video on trigger food behaviours and what can cause it and how it comes about and what you guys could do to avoid it. I'll link that video above in case you haven't seen it. But basically, it's a situation or an occurrence that leads you to overeat or leads you to make unhealthy choices. Again, I'm about everything in moderation. Nothing is off the menu for me. If I want a Big Mac, I will have a Big Mac. I just won't have one every day of the week, or I won't have 2 unhealthy choices throughout the day. I will have everything, but I'll have it in moderation. I'll have it within portion control. And you know, I avoid certain situations. For example, this might seem extreme to some. I personally don't think it is, but I personally don't like to go to all you can eat. for a couple of reasons. Number one, I find them quite wasteful because I feel like everyone just piles their plate high. They don't really think about the fact that, can they eat that? Do they want to eat that? Do they need it? They just do it for value for money. They do it because, well, I paid for it, I may as well eat as much as I can instead of as much as I would like, if that makes sense. There's no competitive element implied, but people seem to think that the more they have on their plate, the better they're doing, whereas actually the more damage you're doing by overeating. So I would definitely tend to avoid things like all you can eat brunch, all you can eat buffet, things like that, because they're not the best choices, because they don't warrant and aid a healthy mindset when it comes to portion control. So those are the types of situations. As well, things like cinemas. I'm not telling you to avoid the cinema, but when I was trying to lose weight, I took my own snacks to the cinema because I knew that I couldn't just buy a small bag of popcorn. Every bag of popcorn in the cinema is half the size of me. They're huge, they're massive, and they're full to the brim with popcorn. And popcorn is a very easy food to just keep eating. You're watching a film, you're distracted. By the time you look into your bag, it's 2/3 down. So I would always take my own snacks. I love to snack on fruit, so it's very easy for me just to take some fruit, or to perhaps take some friendlier popcorn, some friendlier snacks. I'm not saying you have to be super strict and regimented, but what I am saying is if you're actively trying to lose weight, there's going to need to be sacrifice and compromises made somewhere along the line. So if you know that you want to go out to the movies with your friends, either factor it in when it comes to having your treat on that day, so you know that you can join in, or perhaps take your own little lunchbox. I took my own little boxes and I loved it. I was living my best life, just munching on, number one, snacks that were much more affordable, because cinema prices are insane at the moment. Not that we're going much to the cinema right now. The next one is, and this is so important guys, perhaps one of the most important tips, and that is do not skip meals. Do not skip any meals at all. You need to be having breakfast, lunch and dinner every single day. I know it's hard, especially if like me you're not a breakfast person, but you need to have something first thing in the morning to wake your body up, to get the blood pumping, to get your body moving, your body active, to get your metabolism up and running. You do need to break your fast on something. So I would always suggest, if like me you're not a breakfast person, you're not the type of person that's going to want scrambled eggs or toast or crumpet or porridge, have fruit. Have something that gets your body awake, that wakes up your organs and gets everything pumping. So I would definitely say do not skip meals. I'm really good at that. I live for my breakfast, lunch and dinner, and I don't overly snack. I never have been a snacker. However, I really do bulk up when it comes to my 3 main meals. So don't skip meals. It's not a way to lose weight. If anything, your body will retain fluid, it will retain fat because it needs it, because it feels deprived. So don't skip meals. You'll be happy to hear that, because I know a lot of us can be what's the word I want to say? We can be inclined sometimes to want to skip meals because you think it's going to do something for you, whereas actually you're just going to wake up ravenous the next day, and it could offset binge eating. So just have a think about that. Definitely never skip meals. The next one is super fun, and one actually that doesn't have to be for weight loss. My husband has started doing this because he's lactose intolerant, and that is to keep a food diary. So because I have my WW app, that kind of keeps track of the food that I'm eating. That kind of keeps a diary for me because I'm inputting what I'm eating, and it gives me a point value. And even though I'm not strict with it, it's fascinating to type it all in, to go back again to food forecast. Perhaps I felt really bloated one day and I want to check why I felt so uncomfortable. I can go back and see what I was eating, avoid it for next time. So keep a food diary, keep a track on what you're eating. Again, it's great for food casting, it's great for seeing if you've had a great loss one week or not so much the week after. It's just really handy for that. The next tip is something that's very practical, and one I think a lot of people will agree with me with, and one that we all do and we instantly regret it as soon as we get home, and that is do not go food shopping hungry. Obviously sometimes it's unavoidable. You have to go when you can, you have to go when it is in your routine, you have to go when time allows it. But if you do have a choice, if you can not go shopping hungry, it's going to benefit you for a few reasons. The first one is you're not going to be inclined to pick up all the sweet snacks and treats that you normally wouldn't pick up. But also, you kind of shop with your eyes, so you might just pick up loads and loads of food, loads and loads of fresh fruit and veg, and then a lot of it might end up going off, and we don't want to contribute to food waste, especially at the moment. So I would say try going after your meal. It will make you pick up more of what you need and less of what you want, if that makes sense. That is huge guys, and this is one I've seen a lot growing up. I just want to put that out there. I feel like some people either do this or you don't, but that is pick when you're cooking. I'm always in the kitchen, guys. If you follow me on Instagram, it's very rare that at some point in the day you've not seen me cooking or baking or putting something cook inspired on my Instagram. I'm forever in the kitchen. And if I was a picker, if I was someone that had a little bit of this, a little bit of that as I was going throughout my day, I would honestly, I would be absolutely huge. And that's because I'm forever cooking and I'm forever preparing meals for other people and the kids, and baking and recipe trialing and trying out different foods and baking different things and practicing, because I love it. It's a hobby, it's a passion of mine, cooking. And if I snacked throughout the day and then I was regimented and had my 3 evening meals or my 3 daily meals as well, I would be colossal. Like, I'm not even kidding. So I'm lucky because I've never been a picker. But try not to pick. It is super important, because the first thing is you're not going to want to eat your meals, so then you'll skip on your meals and then you'll make unhealthy choices later, or it might make you graze throughout the day and you're not really keeping on track of what you're eating. You're having bits here, bits there, nothing really substantial, you're not full, you're not fulfilled, so then it could offset again binge eating. Trigger foods will come into play because you'll be craving something because your body's not getting what it needs to function. So try not to pick. I know when I was younger, I used to remember my mum feeding my younger brother, and every time he had a spoon, she had a spoon, because she'd do like a big bowl of rice or, you know, maddock or whatever we were eating. She'd do a big bowl. Like, I've mentioned this before, but my family's portion sizes are pretty hefty, so you know, the kid didn't eat that much food, but the food was always finished, because they'd have one, they'd have one, they'd have one, they'd have one, and it's just not a healthy thing to do, because by the time it came to my mum wanting her dinner, her plate would be empty because she wasn't hungry. But then in the evening she'd opt for crisps and snacks and sweets, and then it's just not a great situation. So I would definitely say try not to pick when cooking. Try not to pick and snack throughout the day where you can. And if you are snacking, again, make smarter snacking choices. The next one is, and this is again absolutely huge, portion control. Again, I honestly do think my entire weight loss success has been down to all of these factors. The main one amongst them, portion control. It's honestly one of the biggest impacts on me, because my portion sizes when I was growing up were massive. They were ridiculous, to the point where I'd go to my in-laws for dinner and I feel like I'd had a starter, whereas actually that was just a normal amount of food. And now I've got such an amazing handle on it that my children are used to healthy portion sizes, and they're not going to have, hopefully, if they can, they're not going to have issues with their weight, because they've not been sort of conditioned to overeat when they don't need it. Invest in smaller plates as well. That kind of goes hand in hand with portion control. If you've got a massive plate, you're going to want to fill that plate. Buy smaller plates. It honestly makes such a difference mentally as well, because again, we eat with our eyes. We see a full plate, we're happy. If you see a really sparse plate, we're unhappy. So what do? We fill the plate. You know what I mean? So it's just about having a think. The last one is, and I've got a bonus tip at the end as well, but stop eating 2 hours before you go to bed. I get asked about this a lot, like, when do you stop eating? What do you have to snack on during the night? What about if you want to watch a film and you want a bag of Maltesers? All I will say is, and this kind of merges into my bonus tip, I don't deny myself anything. If I want some chocolate, I have it. If it's movie night, we'll have a bowl of popcorn. I'm just not doing it every day. When you're not doing it every day, you can afford to have occasions where one night you might fancy half a bag of Maltesers, and I mean the fun side, like the proper bags, not like a regular one. I mean a full-on big share bag of Maltesers. You might want half of it. Absolutely go for it. When you're making healthy choices 90% of the time, you have, or even 80, 70% of the time, you have a buffer where you can have a more relaxed approach to it every other time. So just have a think about that. Have a think about what time you're finishing your eating. Obviously, if you eat late at night, I understand with not all of us it's not possible. You might have shift work, you might have really erratic work hours where you have to eat at specific times, but if you can have a really nice nailed down routine when it comes to food and stop eating at least 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed, that will really help you, because you'll be able to burn off a few of the calories, your food will digest properly, it will promote a really nice gut health. no indigestion, no discomfort and bloating and constipation, that kind of thing. So just have a think about perhaps stopping a couple of hours before bed at the very least, and you know, drink a lot of water. And I would definitely say those are my tips when it comes to a healthy and sustainable weight loss. All of these things have been put into practice, and I'm kind of living proof that these methods absolutely do work when you can adopt them and do them properly. So let me know in the comments box down below what kind of eater you are. Are you a grazer throughout the day? Do you like a snack? How is your guys' journey going? Because I know a lot of us are on a journey of some kind, even if it's a maintenance one like myself, or a weight loss one, or a gaining weight. Let us know how you are. Also, if you have any tips or anything helpful to share, I'd love to hear from you, so make sure you comment with that down below. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and of course subscribe if you're new to see more videos like this from me, and I will see you in my next one.